Welcome to part 4 of building Monogram's 57 Street Vette as my contribution into the naked model group build hosted by Sodak Model Cars. In part 3, the chassis got completed and we tackled the interior. Next we'll do a bit more prep and try to ice this cake with some cool decals. Doing a little bit more body work. If you notice, there's a cross flags and a fuel injection emblem that is molded in. And when the decal goes on here, that's going to be a problem because that's going to pucker up and it's not on the box art. What we did here is polished off the emblem on that side. So on the front one, we've also started taking that one off because when the decal goes over it, that's going to leave it kind of lumpy. And then we'll repolish the nose, and we've already started sanding that one. What we're using is the pink stick. It is a fine 400, 600, and here we go. So after 2.5 hours of polishing, no, it was only about 25. Here we have the body, and as you can see, there's still some scratches. And you're like, what are you going to do for that? Well, this is what I've used for years. Novus number 2, fine scratch remover. Removes fine scratches. Restore original appearance to plastics. This stuff is designed for polishing plastic. That is the number 2. They have a number 1. And this is like the real haze remover and kind of helps with fingerprints. There's even a number 3 that's very, very coarse. I hardly ever use it, but this is basically what I use on my paint jobs. And works pretty good. So basically you take some of, shake it up, and squirt it on your favorite cloth. Ooh, that sounds great. And you go to town. So one of the things we do get to use is bare metal foil. Basically, I've already got some going on that side, and I've just started to put it on this side. I have just basically peeled it and stuck it there. And I got a piece here. And basically, if you've never applied bare metal foil, I kind of just knock an end of it off and then kind of scrape it to get it going. It's kind of hard to do through the camera here. Oh, I'm tearing it. That happens. Once you get it kind of going, now you can peel it off. You want to line it up. And ideally, this is actually one of the more difficult kind of areas to apply bare metal. This is one of those Tamiya Q-tip things. You just kind of get it going where it needs to go. I'm not really worried about the inside at this point in time. Don't worry if it looks kind of like a hot mess right now. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's when things like toothpicks, Tamiya Q-tips, and anything else got kind of start burnishing it in a little bit. what I like to do on the toothpicks, I lick them. It kind of just moistens them up a little bit, softens it up, gives a little bit of, lets it slide around a little bit. And what I'm doing is kind of making sure that the line is going to be good. When I say the line, the edge that I want, the inside part, I'm just going to kind of do some cuts here to start burnishing it into the inside. You want this edge. This edge is kind of actually just as important. Again, because why this is important? Because this is how it's going to adhere and stay laid down. You're kind of just working it. Work it in there. We have our favorite new number 11 blade. Continuing with foil, kind of did a thing that we just foiled the whole cove and all of this. And there was sort of a reason, and even kind of went outside the lines a little bit. There's a reason for that. Looking at the decals, how these things work is we have this one that goes in here, and then this red one goes over here. And I don't really know how they're going to register to have the chrome line between the two decals. On the box art, it shows it to be pretty thick. And on the molded car, it's quite thin. So hopefully there's enough foil on here to make this happen. So speaking on the decals, since this is the only set that I have, and I feel pretty good that they're going to work. They look really good. There's no real damage or anything on them. And but I do have an insurance policy. I took these decals and I scanned them in, and then I redrew them. And I have all of the artwork that I can print these on white decal paper to have a backup. And hopefully I don't have to do that. And if you notice, I had these, put the emblems in there so they would be nice and not lumpy and trying to register a decal. So if we got to use these, we got to use these. If not, we have those. So I think I've said it before. I really hate decals. They're just not my favorite part of modeling, which is why I don't really do that many decal jobs. Basically, these are the kit decals. We chopped them up, and they seem to be laying down okay. They just didn't really dry, and even with setting solution, I mean, I'm afraid that if they weren't clear coated, if you just touch them, they're going to start peeling up, and there's modeling on them. They're just not very transparent, and I've used vintage Monogram decals before, like on my Uno car, and they were very nice. And these just not so much. And then one of them nicked out there, and like I said, this is just not where we need to be. So test complete. Vintage decals. 1 Tim 0, or however that works. So probably peel these off and start trying my custom inkjet ones. Hopefully that works. Okay, decaling round 2. This time, These are my inkjet printed decals, and they came out pretty good. But they did go down pretty nice, and not any real modeling. They're nice and opaque. The foil, had to redo some of that when I peeled the decals off, the original ones. So we're gonna call that a win and move on to the next thing. I guess it's time to address the wheels and tires. These are the old Goodyear steel belted radials and these daisy wheels. And the thing about it, fit pretty good. They're a little tight. One of the challenges is on the box art, these letters are clearly painted. They are white. Gotta have white letter tires on the box art, from the box art. So what I was considering is cheating a little bit. Not really interested in painting these letters. That's kind of a pain in the butt. Backside of them looks like, well, they look kind of bad. So here's kind of what I've done. I've got another one here, and I've been sanding on it, trying to smooth out the backside because it's not cast very well, and it's still a lot of work to do to sand this out and make it smooth. And with the idea of coming up with something to put on these, and what I found was our friends at Fireball Model Works, white letter -88 is actually the Goodyear steel belted radials in decals. But the issue here is, in order for the decals to go on here and look right and look good, I'm gonna have to gloss clear the tires, apply the decals, and then flat clear them to seal them in. So yes, it's not gonna be completely naked. The tires are gonna have some form of paint on them in order to get those white letters on it. You know, it's kind of sad, but in order for it to really look right, we got to do something about that. So let's move on from it and letter some tires. So after decaling and dull coating, we have 4 tires. Yeah, I didn't really like the idea of having to gloss and dull coat, but that's the only way that these decals are going to stay on, and they really look cool. Those look just like, oh, they're supposed to. And I didn't have to paint this, even though I really didn't want to paint this. So we'll be putting those on.
After this little cheat, it's time for a bunch of chrome parts, and then on to final assembly. We'll debut the finished model in the next installment, so wish me luck, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do, because I have all kinds of model car stories to tell. Thanks for watching.